So, being the first day and the first session of the CME, I am very happy to be here in front of you to deliver the class on the introduction to Panchakarma and the importance of Purakarma. So, we will directly move on to the subject.
करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्.
So, we all know this Panchakarma and Panchashodhanam. Whenever we have selected our choice for the PG, it's being always a confusion. What are this Panchakarma and Panchashodhanam? Whether they are same or different. You all might have confused or discussed the same topic so many times. But as per the topic, the importance of Purvakarma, importance or introduction to Panchakarma, without discussing this point, I feel it may be a little bit odd. So, making a clarification regarding is it different or same seems to be relevant. So I just go through this and then we will move to the subject. So what all are these Panchakarmas? As we all know, it belongs to two sampradayas. One is Atraya Sampradaya, one is Namboothiri Sampradaya. This Panchakarma belongs to this Atraya Sampradaya, that is Kaya Chikitsa Pradhana, or it is Vamanam, Virechanam, Asthavanam, Anuvasanam, and Nasyam belongs to Panchakarma. And when we come to the Panchashodhanam, other than this Asthavana and Anuvasana Vasti, it is being included as Vasti, and this Raktamoshnam has been added. That comes to the Panchashodhana. Okay, this is the general difference. That is the only difference. In Panchakarma, it was Asthavana and Anuvasana, but in Panchashodhana, it is Raktamoshnam is added, and both Vastis are combined, and it became only Vasti. It is not separated. So now we come to the different aspects of this Panchakarma. So whenever we say this Panchakarma, initially these procedures will come to our mind, is it not? Vamanam, Virechanam, Vasti, whatever it is, Asthavanam, Anuvasanam or Raktamokshanam, whatever it would be. These are some of the procedures which comes to our mind when we say this Panchakarma. But what I feel, we can have a different angle, or we can have a different magnitude of thinking of these procedures. That's what I feel, this Penda practice of this Panchakarma, how it can be. So total, the meaning of this Panchakarma itself is 5 procedures. And in another angle, how we can think. This is Penda practice. Have you ever think of like this? This is the another way of thinking. That is Sampurna Shodhanam. Next is Kramataha Shodhanam. Is Punapuna Shodhanam, Nitya Shodhanam, and Sadhya Shodhanam. Have you ever think of this? Even though we are always practicing all these things, right? What is Sampurna Shodhanam? What is Kramataha Shodhanam? What is Punapuna Shodhanam? What is Nitya Shodhanam? What is Sadhya Shodhanam? These terms are very familiar. And we come across all these Kriya Kramas in our practice. Okay. So, this Panchakarma, usually we discuss regarding the Trivida Karmas. Which are they? Purva Karma, Pradhana Karma, and Paschat Karma. That also varies according to the aim which we orient. If our aim is to make Rasayana Chikitsa, the whole Panchakarma will be the Purva Karmas. Vamanam, Virechanam, Vasti, Nasyam. All these things will be the Purva Karmas. If our intention is to prepare for Vamanam or Virechanam, then Snehanam and Swedanam will be the Purva Karmas. If our main intention is to prepare for Snehanam and Swedanam, then Pajanam and Devanam will be the Purva Karmas. Is it not? So, the Purva Karma, Pradhana Karma and Paschat Karma varies according to the result or final treatment or final aim what we intended. That's what I am telling. If our any aim is to prepare for Rasayana Chikitsa, the whole Panchakarma will be the Purva Karma, like so. Okay. So, this Sampurna Shodhanam is told for the Rasayana Karmas. That is, Madhava Pradhame Masi, Nabhasya Pradhame Puna, Sahasya Pradhame Chaiva, Haraye Dosha Sanchayam. Snigdhasvinna Shariranam, Urdham Chadascha Nityasha, Vasti Karmam Tadak Kuryat, Nasti Karmam Cha Buddhiman. Yadhakramam Yadhayogyam Atha Urdham Prayojayet, Rasayanani Siddhani, Vrishya Yogamscha Kalavit. It is told. That is, first you have to prepare the patient by means of all these preparatory procedures like Snigdha Svinna Shariranam, Urdham Cha Adhascha Nityasha, Vamanam, Virechanam, then comes Vasti, then comes Nasyam. And after that only you go for Yadha Kramam, Yadha Yogyam, Atha Urdham Prayojayet. Only after the successful completion of Devanam, Pajanam, Snehanam, Swedanam, Vamanam, Virechanam, Vasti, Nasyam, then only you go for Rasayana. Then only we can say it is complete. The treatment is complete. So, all these set of procedures has to be completed before the implementation of Rasayana Chikitsa. That's why this is called as Sampurna Shodhanam. Okay. So, what all are the benefits? So, to protect body from seasonal variations or seasonal influences, to attain proper benefits of Rasayana and Vachikarna, then only it can be achieved. Then, to eliminate severe morbidity of doshas. These are the general things what we can expect out of the Sampurna Shodhana. Okay. Then comes, this is the concept regarding the Sampurna Shodhana. Then comes, what is it? Kramataha Shodhanam. What we do in our day-to-day practice or regular practice. Which are they? Kramataha Shodhanam includes that also set of 5 procedures. Pajanam, Devanam, Snehanam, Snigdhasvedam, Shodhanam and Payadi Samsarjana Krama. Okay. This is Kramataha Shodhanam, what we do in our practice. Because Rasayana Chikitsa is practiced, but that is very limited or less in number in comparison to this Kramataha Shodhanam. So, Snigdhaya Deyam, Vamanam Yadhoktam, Vandasya Peyadir Anukramascha, Snigdhasya Sussunna Danor Yadhavad Virechanam, Yogyadamam Prayojyam. After the proper Pajanam, Devanam, then you have to go for Snehapanam, then you have to go for Snigdhasvedam. Then the main procedure, Shodhanam, it can be either Vamanam or Virechana. After the proper Vamana and Virechana, you have to go for Payadi or Tarpanadi Samsarjana Krama according to the Shuddha Pragara, right? So, this is the regular practice which we do. And you will be more familiar with these procedures. Okay, this is the concept of Kramataha Shodhanam. Then comes Punapuna Shodhanam. That also a practice what we do in some specific cases. In Kushtam, like that. Okay. In that cases we repeatedly do Shodhana. That is Punapuna Shodhanam. That is Pakshat, Shardhananyanyupeyat, Masan, Masat, Shodhananyanyapastat, Shuddhi, Murdhini Syat, Triratrat, Shashte, Masyasrang Mokshanam Cha. Main example we can show is that the kushtam. This is in kushtam we use repeated shodhana. That also is a quote from Kushta Chikitsa. Okay. So this is the third point, that is punapuna shodhana. Then comes nitya shodhana. Have you ever heard this term, nitya shodhana? Yes. In our regular practice also we do, but we do in our OP basis also. Is it not? That is nitya shodhana. Durbalevi mahadosho virechyo bahusho alpasha mridobhi peshajai dosha hanyur enam anarhata. If the vyadhi is in the bahudosha avastha, but if the patient is not fit for a proper tikshna shodhana, then we can give some medicines for the purpose of elimination by alpan. In the lesser quantity we can purify or we can expel the bahudosha. For that purpose we use this nitya shodhana. And for this purpose we usually adopt virejanam, because virejanam is the ideal choice for that. What can be the reason why virejanam? Because
natural process.
yes, of course, and it has both the role in the kabham and pittam, and the adaptation of the procedure also is very easy in comparison to vamana, and it is more practical. Okay, so given in empty stomach I have written, that also is a possibility. Usually we can give at bedtime also. For example, avipatti churna 10 grams with water we can give at bedtime. Manipatra kulam we can give at bedtime. Vaishanda churnam we can give at bedtime. Like that, Triphala churnam, all these things we can give at bedtime also to make the virechana. Okay. So, and it can be done for a prolonged time. That may not be possible in case of vamanam. Repeated vamanam in a daily practice, that we cannot think of it. But repeated virechana on a regular basis, we can do it, we are doing it, and we are practicing. And it is having a good result. And it is less complicated. So that's why the concept of Nitya Virechanam, what we focus is on Virechanam because of these reasons. Okay. Then comes Sadhya Shodhana. This is also what we do. Is it not? The cases satisfying these criteria, we go for Satyavamanam. Kapha pradhanan utklishtan doshan amashayasthidan buddha jvaragaran kale vamyanam vamaner haret. If the patient is fit for vamanam, if the condition of doshas are like this, means kapha pradhana utklishta dosha, and if the doshas are in the amashya itself, then need not go for any purva karmas. Directly you can go for Sadhyavamanam. That is Sadhya Shodhanam. And here, in comparison to this Nitya Shodhanam, we have selected Virechanam. But in Sadhya Shodhanam, we prefer Vamanam. What may be the reason? What could be the reason? Yes, that is the exact reason. Because whenever you see, if the doshas are already in the Bahudosha Avastha, Utklishta Avastha, if again we give Aushadha for Virechana, that may end up within Vamana only. Abakkum Vamanam Doshan Pachyamanam Virechanam Nirharet Vamanasyada Pagam na Pratipalayet. We don't need Paka for the Aushadha to get digested for the purpose of Vamana. But that is not in the case of Virechana. Virechanam only happens during the digestion of the medicine. So in such a condition, we may not be able to give or proceed with the Virechana Aushadhi. In that case, it will create Vamanam only. It will create Chardhi. That's why in Kapha Utklishta Avastha, what we give the Aushadhi for Vamanam, it will have easy. Sreshmottara Chardedi Hyadukham Virichyade mandakavastu samyak. Adha kabolpe vamanam vigachet. Adha kabolpe vamanam vigachet. What does it mean? In the avastha where there is less kapha, then the aushadhi which is given for the purpose of vamanam may end up with virejanam and vice versa. Adha kabolpe vamanam vigachet virejanam vrittagabhe tat urdhvam. And if we intended to give virejana aushadhi in the pravritta kaphavastha, that may end up with the vamana only. The virejanam will not happen. For virejanam to happen smoothly means it should be manda kapha. That's why you can observe, nicely interpreted by acharyas. That's why only one day Visramakalam is told for vamanam, and for virejanam it is 3 days. So soon after the samyak snigdha lakshanas, it will be in the pravritta shleshma avastha. So to bring down this pravritta shleshma to manda kapha, we need 2 days. That's why this relaxation time of 2 days are told for virejanam. But in case of vamanam, again the kapha utklishta ahara viharas are told in the very next day to bring gramyaudaganu parasai samashe rutkleshaniya paisachavamya. It is told. So that is the reason why for sadhya shodhanam we prefer vamanam, for nitya shodhanam we prefer virejanam. Do you get me? So that's why it is clearly mentioned by Chakravarni also. Atracha swayameva utklishta doshasya dosha utklesa prayojanakau sneha svedo na kriyate alpo va kriyate. For making the easy procedure, it can be given. For that day also it is possible. Usually what we give the yavagu with the ishal ghritam, that also can be possible. That has to be given before vamana. Otherwise, if the kapha pradhana utklishta dosha avastha and if the doshas are in the amasya, we need not to go for any purva karmas. Clear? Good. So this was just an introduction to give the different directions of this Panchakarma, how it can be interpreted, like this Sampurna Shodhanam and all these things. That is a different angle. In a different way we can think. This is the dimensions where we can explore. Even though we are doing all these things, these concepts we may not be thinking. So to give a picture of these concepts, I just discussed in a different way. That's all. Now we are moving on to the subject, that is Purva Karma and its importance in Panchakarma. Okay, what is the role of Purva Karma? This is a simile. Snigdhat patrat yada toyam ayatnena pranudyade kaphadeya pranudyande snigdha dehat tadaushadhehi ardram kashtam yadha vanyar vishyandede sarvada tada snigdhasya vaidoshan svedo vishyandeye stiran klishtam vaso yadhotkleshya mala samshodhyadem batha Sneha Svedai Stadha Utklesha Shodhyade Shodhane Urmale. These all are the similes, which clearly shows what is the importance of Purva Karma. How? Means how easy to drain out the water from a vessel which is being coated by any sneha dravyas. Like that, the sneha, the body which is being processed by means of sneha, the malas can be easily driven out to the from the particular sthanas. That is well explained in the context of Kalpasthanam, first chapter, where it is, I think that is the more apt simile or apt example which is given for the whole Panchakarma or mode of action of the Sneha and Sweda. After this Purva Karmas, the mode of action of Vamana Virechana Dravyas. Yes, how nicely it is interpreted. तत्र उष्ण सूक्ष्म तीक्ष्ण सूक्ष्म व्यवायि व्यगाशी रौषधानि स्ववीर्येण हृदयम् उपेत्य धमनीरनुसृत्य स्थूलानुस्रोतोभ्य केवलं वैगारिकम् is not दोषं विश्यन्देति तैक्ष्ण्यात् विचिन्दन्ति सविच्छिन्नः परिप्लवन् स्नेहाभाविते काये स्नेहाक्तभाजनस्तमिव क्षौद्रमसज्जन्नणुप्रवणभावात् आमाशयमागम्य उदानप्रणुन्नो अग्निवायुआत्मकत्वात् औषधस्य ऊर्ध्वमुक्षिप्यते. That is the next part of that. But the main core of the content is lying in that verse where snigdhat, the body which is already got anointed or processed by means of sneha. Snehakta bhajanastamiva kshaudram asajjan. If you are pouring a little bit of water to a mud pot, it may get adhered or it may get absorbed. Okay. But before you pouring the water to a mud pot, you may be familiar with that. Who all are from the northern parts, but earthen pots are mostly used for collecting this water. So before pouring the good water, it will be practiced. It will be kept in a water for some time to get saturated. The further the water will not get absorbed. Like that, the body is processed by means of this sneha. To such a body, if after the process of snehanam, we will give swedanam. Snigdheshu sukshmeshu ayaneshu leenam swedastu dosham naidi dravatvam. So after the process of snehana, swedana helps to bring the detachment of doshas from shakas to koshta. So the koshta is already anointed with sneha. So what all are the things which is coming to the koshta from shakas may get floated as the honey is being floated in a pot which is being anointed or which is being coated with sneha. That is the ideal simile. And then we are giving the aushadhi, which is Vayu Atmagatvad or Agni Vayu Atmagatvad. Due to the presence of this Agni Mahabhuda and Vayu Mahabhuda, the Aushadha will have an Urdhva Bhaga Prabhavam. It will get us and up us Vamanam. If it is Pradivi Salilatmagatvad, Aushadasya Urdhvam Atha Pravartade. It ends up as Virechana. So that is a nice simile. So these all are the acharyas for the better understanding has guided us with some of these similes like this. Okay, that's why. So how far important these purakarmas are? To a processed body, application of Panchakarma is very easy. But application of a Panchakarma after proper purakarma is very easy. But if the purakarma is not proper, it is that dangerous. That is the main problem. That's why in inauguration also Ramanohar sir told, each and every procedure has ended with or acharya is written along with its vyabhat and its management, because immediately we have to manage. For example, I will tell you. You just imagine that you are going to perform Vamana. Okay? But the Purakarma was not proper. And we were not having the proper idea, or totally we were ignorant regarding the Kostasthiti of this patient, and we have given Tikshna Aushadhi. If it ends up with this Jivadhanam, what will happen? Immediate measures you have to take to stop the bleeding, isn't it not? But you think of the case where you have performing this treatment for this Amavatam. Is it that dangerous? No. Snehanam and Svedana, all these things in the initial phase you have to go for Rukshanam and all these things. Even if the complication happens, means you can manage subsequently. But here we don't have that much of time because it is very critical. There we should have a emergency management team or emergency management setup we should have, because that is the vyadhi or complication which happened as a complication of the pradhana karma. So it can be even fatal also. So the immediate management setups we should be ready with while performing the pradhana karmas. Do you agree? Or do you have any confusion regarding that? Not only Jivadanam. Jivadanam is the most dangerous thing which can be fatal. The other things we can manage. And one more is there, that is Hridgraham. We may get confused. That is the main thing. That also can be fatal, but it is not as dangerous as this Jivadanam. But also we may get confused. By explaining this, Acharya clearly mentioned, Nagached vibramam tatra. You should not get confused or you should not get tensed. Nagached vibramam. Vame dashu tam bishak. Again you have to give medicine. That's the only thing. If you do that, the patient will be all right. But it is not in the case with the Jivadanam. Even though it can be fatal, but Jivadanam is most dangerous. So that's why if the Purva Karma is Samyak, the Pradhana Karma is very easy. Unless Purva Karma is not proper, Pradhana Karma is very dangerous. Okay, so you keep it in mind. That's why whenever Acharyas mentions about these karmas, Samhara Sangrahanam, along with the things to be arranged for the management of complications are also enlisted. That's why we may think why. But this is the reason. We should have the stuff with to manage if any complications. Okay? So this is the Trivida Karma. So Trividam Karmam, Purva Karmam, Pradhana Karmam, Paschat Karmam, Tad Vyadi Pratyupadekshama. This is as per Susruta. So definitely he has started with the Vranasa, Vrana related. But what he mentions, Puramityadi, Tatrege, Langanadi, Viregantam, Purva Karmam, Vranasya. For Vrana, these all are the Purva Karmas. Patanam, Ropanam Yacha Pradhanam Karma. And Paschat Karma also mentioned. Anyetu Samshodhyasya Pachana Snehana Swedanani Purva Karma. Vamana Virejana Vasti Nasya Sirya Mokshanani Pradhanam Karma. Peyad Anna Samsarjanam Paschat Karma. But for Samshodhana, these all are the Purva Karmas. For Vrana, the others are the Purva Karma. According to the situation, Purva Karma, Pradhana Karma and Paschat Karma changes. Okay? Samshodhanasya Pajana Snehana Swedanani Purva Karma. So, Pajaner, Deepaner, Snehi, Tan Swedaisha Parishkradan, Shodhaner, Shodhayet, Kale, Yadhasannam, Yadabalam. This has to be properly administered. Pajanam, Deepanam, Snehanam, Swedanam. Basically, we consider it as the Purva Karmas. That has to be administered properly before going to the Pradhana Karma. So here Hemadri comments, Parishkradan idi Shodhana Yogyatam Nidan Tatra Pajnehi Paktatvam. The doshas has to get Paka, then only it can be properly processed. Deepanir Dhadubhya Pradaktvam means by means of Deepana that has to be separated, disintegrated from the Dhadus. And Snehir Utklishtatvam. Again, we are making the Utklishta of dosha to make it easy for the movement. And Swedehi Koshtagadatvam. Okay. So by means of this Snehana, what we do is to bring the Utklishtada of doshas. That means we are bringing excitation of these doshas. By Svedana, we are bringing pradaktam, or we are making the doshas to get detached from the channels, then only it can be moved. And koshta agamanatvam is possible only by means of swedanam. That's why Acharya Charaka mentioned in the Siddhisthanam, snigdheshu sukshmeshu aineshu linam swedastu dosham naidi dravatvam. Even if we are doing, that's why without these two, Snehanam and Svedana, the Purva Karmas are incomplete. Both are very, very important in its own role. Both are having significant role in the concept of Purva Karma. Okay. So, Deepana, this, it is very familiar for you. Since you joined BAMS, you will be reading this sloka, right? Pajena amam vanyagraddevanam tadyadamishi pajatyamam navanninam chakuryat tadhyavajanam nagakesaravad vidyat chitrako deepana pachana. This you will be reading, is it not? So, in this context, it is mandatory that what is the concept of deepanam, what is the concept of pajanam, and which all are the drugs can be used for these purposes. That's why I just, and the main thing, the core of the thing what we need to discuss is what is the role of, or what is the action of these aushadas to our body. Tatra pajanehi prataktvam means, pajanam means it is just to making the process of this ama pajanam only. For any preparatory procedures, for even though if it is whatever may be the procedure, the ama has to be eliminated first. Even in treatment aspect also, you can see the best example what I have told you is the treatment of amavadam. You see, first is amapachana, right? Then only the next procedure starts, whatever it would be. The initial phase of the treatment starts with the amapachana. Pragpachanam, pradhamam pachanam, virukshanam samanam dhatu malanam. Means the ama which is present in the doshas and malas has to be properly disintegrated. For that procedure or for that process, what all are the treatments we follow, it can be considered as pachanam. But mainly what we use is rukshanam for that purpose, right? Then what is deepanam? Deepane dhadubhya prataktvam, and detachment of this ama from the dhatus. If I say all these things in this purely in the textual context, that will be very difficult to digest, even I know. You just take a case of any of the conditions which is autoimmune, neurodegenerative conditions, or especially this systemic lupus erythematosus, all these conditions, multiple sclerosis, all these conditions you can see the dhatu pakam there, right? What is dhatu pakam? Which is the autoimmune condition. That is dhatu pakam. So we need to treat this case, means then the amapachanam has to be clearly done. Then only we can go for the process of whatever it can be. Samshodhanam, samshamanam, brahmanam, whatever it would be. Immediately. Contemporary example also I will tell you. If you are intended to paint your house, what you would do? Immediately you will purchase some paint and you will start right away to paint. What you will do? Before that you will clean it. The old paints will be removed, again it will be scrubbed and it will be washed, and then only you start. You will wait for the wall to get dry. Then only you will start with the new painting, right? The same process. To start our treatment, we need to process it. The kshetra is the patient. So we need to process the kshetra, we need to prepare the patient. Langhanam, Swedanam, Tiktam, Devanani, Kadunicha, Virejanam, Snehapanam, Chapaste, Chamamarude. It is a treatment line which is to be followed in the cases of Amavadam. So first we have to go for Amapajanam. For this purpose, Pajanam Deepanam means it is the enlightening the digestive power. For this purpose, amam, you know, this is abakva kleda, right? This amam is immature kapha. It is having the properties of abakva kleda or abakva kapha, immature. So, for kapha doshas, what is the line of treatment which we can adopt? Which one? For the kapha pradhana dosha, what can be the ideal treatment procedure we can adopt? Which one? For kapha pradhana doshas, rukshana only. Is it not? For bringing the rukshana, we adopt different procedures. It can be either in the form of Udvartanam, it can be some Kidis, it can be some Pindasvedas. What all are the things which we can, it is the different methods of application, but the purpose is to bring Rukshana. It is nicely interpreted in Bhava Prakasha. Sleshmajam Durjanavat Tikshnam means how we behave to an enemy. It should be the attitude of us to treat the kapha. It should be Tikshnam. Sleshmajam Durjanavat Tikshnam. How to treat Vata? Vatam Snehena Mitravat. How you treat your friends? It should be with love and affection. Is it not? Kevalam Nirvastambhamadu Snehe Rupachare. Vatam Snehena Mitravat. Then how the context of Pitta? Chamaderiva means how you treat your in-laws who are married. They will know. Some of the delegates are there who are not married, so they will remember after getting married how nicely it was interpreted in Bhava Prakasha. So we have to infer that Bhava Mishra might have married. Pittam Chamaderiva Madhura Sheetalayur Jayet. Okay. It has to be considered as with the Madhura and Sheeta Pradhana. So, Sleshmajam Durjanavat Tikshnam, which we are going to follow right now. Okay. Rukshana. Our main purpose of the treatment is to bring dryness or Rukshana, Kleda Narvahanam, or to bring dryness in the body. That is the concept of this Rukshana. So to bring this Ruksha effect in our body, we have different techniques. Like Udvartanam. What all are the procedures that we will discuss one by one? This is the definition. Rauksham, Karatvam, Vaishadyam, Yat Kuryat, Tanthi Rukshanam. The procedure which can produce Rukshata, Karatvam, roughness, Vaishadyam, this minuteness, Yat Kuryat, Tadhi Rukshanam. The procedure which can bring all these qualities can be considered as Rukshana. And Ruksham, if a drug has to be said as Rukshana Dravya, it has to have some qualities. That is Ruksham, Lakukaram, Tikshnam, Ushnam, Stiram, Avichilam, Prayasha, Katinam Chaiva, Yadravyam, Tadhi Rukshana. The drugs which are having or which are possessing these qualities is considered as a Rukshana Dravya. There are some exceptions. In many cases we have exceptions. That's why Acharyas mentions. Acharya clearly tells some exceptions in the context of some Shita Jalam, Ushna Jalam. The qualities are different. Like that it is told. So there are some exceptions, but Prayashaha, technically that term is used. Prayaha Rukshanam, Prayaha Snehanam, like that is, what does it mean? They are mostly Rukshana in nature. The qualities of the drugs which are having these qualities are mostly Rukshana in nature. The qualities which like Sneham, all these things can be mostly Snehana in nature. There can be some exceptions. That's why the technical term Prayaha is mentioned. Okay. So what all are the possible actions of these qualities in our body? This Ruksha Guna brings Shoshana of the condition. If it is Kapha Pravardha Avastha, there can be Shoshana for Shleshma Shoshanam can be there. And it is Vadakara in nature, at the same time Kabhara. So that is the effect of this Ruksha Guna to our body. Then comes Laghu Guna, it brings Laghuda, it is Vadakara and Kafahara. Then Khara, it brings Lekhana effect, then it is Vadakara. Krishna, it is Shodhana in nature, Pittakara, Kapha Vadahara. Sthira, it is Dharana, Kapha Kara Vadahara. Apichilam, it produces a Kshalana effect and it is mainly Kafahara. Kadhinam, it is Dridhikaranam, making it Dridha, and that also usually considered as Vadakara. So these all are the therapeutic action of this Rukshana. We said the qualities of Rukshana, Ruksha Drivyas and all these things. If these qualities are administered to our body, how these qualities will create what effect on our body and on doshas. That is a tabulated presentation. Okay. Then this is the Taratama Bhavas. It is usually Tikta Rasa, Ushna Viryam, Katu Vibhagam. The drugs are having Tikta Rasa, Ushna Viryam and Katu Vibhagam are considered as Ruksha. Katu Rasa, and among this Katu Rasa is Ruksha Tara, and Kashaya Rasam is considered as the Ruksha Tama. So, in Kapha Pradhana conditions, the administration of Kashaya Rasam is very, very, very effective to reduce this Kapha. That's why in Amavadam, wherever the presence of Amam, not only in Amavadam, I always tell this, Amavadam means it is a clear-cut case where all of you will be knowing and you will be managing many of these cases with the different presentations of this Amavadam, right? Because what I feel is this, it is the initial phase of this Vadaraktam, where this Ama starts. And moreover, we always used to say, Sarve Roga Abhimandagno. All the diseases are, it is a root cause is Ama. That is Mandagni. And while thinking from Charagam, usually people used to say that is Amavadam is not mentioned in Charagam. It seems so. Yes, of course, in Brihatri, the concept of Amavadam, concept I cannot say because the different chapter of Amavadam is not entitled. But the concept is very clear. In Charagam, you can have a clear-cut picture of Amavadam. In Grahani Adhyaya, it is clearly told regarding the Annavisham context. Abhojanad, Ajirnadi, Bhojanad, Vishamashanad, like that it is told. Sadushtadyakni, Sadushtonam, Natat Pachati Lekvabi, Apachyamanam, Shuktatvam, Yadi, Annam Visharupadam. Tasya lingam ajirnasya vishtambhas sadanam tatha shiraso rukcha murchaja swarachardi pravahanam angamardagati prishta, it is told. മൂത്രരോഗാംശ്ച മൂത്രസ്ഥം കുക്ഷിരോഗാൻ ശകൃദ്ഗതം കരോതി വാതസംസൃഷ്ടം വാതജാംശഗതാൻ ബഹൂൻ. So clear cut picture of Amavadam, right? Karoti vatasamsrishtam vadajamscha bahun gadan. What all are the things? What all are the possible diseases? It is innumerable that can be caused by means of this ama. So that's why ama has to be considered, because it is having the toxic effect on our body. That's why this ama is considered as annavisham. It is toxic, it is ototoxin. So what all are the aushadas we administer? It should be ama pajanam in nature. It should be acting like it is a vishahara aushadha, because it relieves the ama. A long term presence of ama is visha only. That is why in my practice, the amapajanam drugs I use along with this Vilvadi Guliga, because Vilvadi is such a nice drug. You all will be familiar with this yoga, right? So what is the scope of this Vilvadi in the right now, in the present era? Because Bhujangaludondere Vrishchikadi Vishojika Ajirnagarajwarascha, because almost all the patients, it is very difficult to get a fresh patient, especially who is suffering from a chronic disease like Amavada or Vadarakta or whatever it would be. It is very difficult. So they might have gone to almost all the doctors in that particular place, and at last they will be coming to us. They might have given steroids. What all are the medicines which they can give? That also innumerable. Almost the prescriptions of all the other doctors who in the practicing, especially the rheumatologist and all these things, will be given so many medicines, and at last they will come to us. First of all, we have to detoxify the effect of these medicines, what I consider it as Garavisham. So that's why I use Vilvadi in every patient. If they tell the history that they have visited so many doctors, blindly I will write Vilvadi Guliga to get rid of this Garavisha, what I consider the presence of this, all these chemicals and all these things as Garavisha. If possible, if the patient also is happy, if the patient also is fit, if the patient is comfortable, if the patient is okay, I used to give Virejanam also. Initially I will start with the Virejanam, then Vilvadi, then only we will go to the Vyadhi Prataniga Aushadas to process. Then only our medicine will work, it seems, because all these toxins has to be removed. Or along with the medicine also we can give this Vilvadi. That is a nice combination what I feel in my practice. Okay. So indications of Rukshanam. Avishinna Mahadosha Marmasa Vyadhayaschaye Uristambha Prabhadayo Rukshaniya Nidarshida. Who are? So means Kleda Pradhana Shleshma Vikaras, then Mahadosha and Marmasta Vyadhi, Uristambha. In all these cases, Rukshana is the ideal choice. In Uristambha, all the treatments are contraindicated. Almost the Panchakarma, almost all the Panchakarmas are contraindicated. That is the only condition where all the Panchakarmas are contraindicated. That is Uristambha. Mahasarasigambhire. It is clearly told by Acharya Charaga. So it is contraindicated. The only thing which we can do is Rukshana. For this Rukshana also, what all are the procedures which, that's why this swimming and all those things is ideal for Uristambha, it is told to create. So we will see in the context of Snehapana, that also the importance of Rukshanam is mentioned. This is Mamsala, Medura, Purishleshmano, Vishamagneya, Snehojidaschaye, Tan Purvam Rukshayes Tata. If a patient is coming to us for a Shodhana, especially the patient you just think that the patient is having obesity, Staulya. You are planning to perform almost all the Kriyakramas, Vamanam, Virejanam, Masti, all these things you are planning to do. So in the initial phase, we have to process it. So before starting the Snehapanam, what we have to do? Rukshanam we have to do. Mamsala, Medura, any endocrinological disorders, especially these thyroid cases, hypothyroidism. Is it not? In hypothyroidism cases, you have Mandagni. There you have to go for Amapajanam. In that case, the same thing can be correlated with the PCOD. Is it not? It is Kapaja Granthi. I consider the cases of PCOD, almost all the cases are Kapaja Granthi. So, I use like this. We have number of cases where you can go for this Rukshanam in before going for Snehapanam. Staulyam. This. So, Sharirastasya Kayagnehe Amsha Dhatushu Samsritaha Tesham Sada Adidiptibhyam Dhatu Vriddhikshayodbhava. It is a concept what I follow in my practice for the treatment of thyroid cases. Sharirastasya Kayagnehe Amsha Dhadushu Samsritaha. It is from Ashtanga Hridaya. What does it mean? The Amsha of Kayagni which is represented in each Dhatus. Sharirastasya Kayagnehe Amsha Dhadushu Samsritaha Tesham Sada. Diminution of that, what we call it as Dhatu Agni. Tesham Sada Adidiptibhyam. Over action, that is hyper. Tesham Sada Hypo. Adidiptibhyam Dhatu Vriddhikshayodbhava. If it is hypo, there will be delayed metabolism, and hyper, it is over metabolism. That's why in hyperthyroid cases the patients are becoming lean. In hypo, the patients are becoming stout. Okay. So if we keep this concept in our mind, the main treatment what we have to give is Agni Kramikarana Chikitsa. For that also, this Rukshanam is very compulsory, mandatory. Before going to the treatment, main treatment, we have to go for Rukshanam to make the patient ready for the process. The same thing what I was explaining regarding the PCOD. It is Kapaja Granthi, or you can see, or Kapaja Gulma also you can see. Ishacha Roma Rajyaha. All these things are clearly mentioned regarding us symptoms of this Kapaja Granthi, that is clearly visible in the cases of PCOD. Right? Hirsutism, acanthosis nigricans. All these things will be the complaints presented by the case, by the person. Directly we need to go for any of the shodhanas. For that also we have to go for Rukshanam. Because initially, like that only we can move ahead with the treatment. Otherwise, the treatment may not get proper result if the metabolic waste, if the ama is not properly processed. The main aim of this Rukshanam is to clear the ama or detach the presence of ama from doshas and dhatus. That's why Nirama condition, Sama condition to Nirama condition. So this is a practical application or mode of administration, how we apply Bahya and Abhyantara. In Bahya, we have set of procedures like Udvartanam, Lepam, Parishegam, Dukshapinda Swedam, all these things we have. At the same time, Abhyantara, what all are the things we have? Panam, Annam, Bheshajam. In Panam we have a set of dishes. In Annam we have a set of dishes. In Bheshajam also we have set of medicines. Is it not? Kalaya Stwadivadala, what we in that adhyaya it is clearly mentioned. So Kalayam also used to give in cases where it is necessary. So to bring the Rukshana, we have different modes of administration. One is Bahyam, one is Abhyandaram. In Abhyandaram, we have Pana, Anna and Bheshaja. And in procedures, Bahya Chikilsa, we have Udvartanam, Lebam, Parishegam and Ruksha Churna Pinda Swedas. So, Shamanam. Immediately after this Rukshana, in between how this technical thing came, this Shamanam. What is that? Pachanam hi Rukshanam eva. In some cases where this Pachanam itself can control the disease, especially Ajirnam. The Pachanam is the main treatment, or Pachanam is the treatment. There, what all are the medicines what we give for the purpose of Pachana? It is Shamana only, right? Soon after the proper Pachana takes place, the condition may get subsided. Unless it has turned to Udavarta or some conditions. This Ajirna can be well managed with the Rukshanam. That's why, in a sense, this Rukshanam itself can be a treatment. That's why Pachanam hi Rukshanam eva. So, in such a condition, it can be said as Shamanam also. In some cases, that itself can be a Shamana Aushadha for the condition. That's why Hemadri opened like that. And some of the examples what we use very regularly is in cases of Vata Vigara, we prefer Rasna. Different types of Rasna preparations we use, mainly Rasna Kashayam, Rasna Saptagam, Rasna Panchakam, Rasna Dashamulam, like that so many varieties of Kashayas we use for the purpose of Vata. Then comes for Pitta, Patola, Vasha Kashaya, Guruchadi Kashaya, Manjishtadi Kashaya, Kogilaksha Kashaya. There are a number of medicines we can go for the conditions where it is dominated by Pitta. And in Kaphavigara also it is so. Nimba Kashaya, Triphala Kashaya, Varanadi Kashaya, Gugulvadi Kashaya, Abhaya Kashaya. Many of these yogas are there for the purpose of each and every permutations and combinations of the doshas according to its Taradama Bhavas. Okay, do you get me? Any confusions? So these all are the some of the procedures what we have discussed. I think we don't need to go for deep into these procedures because we have different sessions where we can have the demonstrations and all these things. The resource person who deals with the Snehanam and the Svedanam, almost different procedures will be elaborated there. This Rukshanam, some of the procedures are also planned. That also can have a discussion. So much deeper into the subject we will not go because a separate session is there for each and every procedures. So some of the main aspects regarding these treatments that we can just explain. That is, first one is Udvartanam. So how? Udvartanam, Gatramardhanam. Udvartanam, Kabharam, Medasa Pravilayanam, Sthirigaranam Anganam, Tagdoshaharam Param. That is by Ashtanga Sangraha or Ashtanga Hridayam. Both are same. But Susruta opened a slightly different way. How? Udvartanam Kabharam, Medasa Pravilayanam, Udvartanam Vadaharam. How? Usually, what we expect out of this Udvartanam is Rukshanam, and Susruta explains that Udvartanam Vadaharam. Medasa Pravilayanam. The rest of the things are same. Only Vadaharam is added by Susruta Acharya.
The Anulomana of Vata takes place by removing the obstruction.
Yes, exactly it is. That is the main thing. As we discussed, I discussed in the case of how the Shakha Gati and the Koshta Gati of these doshas, right? How? Vridhyat, Vishyandanat, Pakat, Sroto Mukha Vishodhanat, and at last Shakha Vayoscha Nigrahat. So Vayoscha Nigrahas is a technical term which represents the Anuloma Gati of this Vata. Soon after the channels are getting cleaned, once the Srotorodham is removed, the Vatam will attain the Anuloma Gati. So that Anuloma Gati is considered as the Samyak Gati of this Vata. That's why in almost all the Vata Vyadhis you see the Anuloma Gati of Vata is disturbed. Okay. Again, if you see in Kasam, Shwasam, in all these cases the Samyak Gati of this Vata is disturbed. Is not. It's obstructed. What we do is to bring the normalcy of these channels. Sroto Rodhanam is removed. Sroto Shodhanam is applied. Sroto Shodhana Chikitsa is adopted in such conditions. So once this Sroto Rodham is removed, the Samyak Gati of this Vata is achieved, thereby natural tendency of this Vata to move in the proper direction, that will be achieved by this Sroto Shodhanam. And this is possible by means of this Udvartanam. The Sroto Rodham is removed. That's why Susrudacharya mentions that Udvartanam Vataharam. Pravilayanam, Sthirikaranam, Tokdoshaharam, Param. All these things are, rest of the things are fine and right. The only confusion he creates is regarding the Vata Haram. That is clearly due to the making the proper Samyak Gati of this Vata by means of clearing the Srotorodham. That is the reason. And practically what all are the churnas we use? The practical medicines which we use for the purpose of medicine in our hospital. Triphala Churna, Ishtika Churna. Ishtika Churna, while you take this Ishtika Churna, you should be more careful, otherwise it may create complications rather than the good results. Because when the patient, if he is getting rubbed with this Ishtika Churnam, if it is not properly processed or not properly fine powder, it will create the skin to damage, and at last that treatment, the patient will not be in a situation to manage further treatments, or the skin of the patient will get damaged. Yava Churnam, Kolabuladhadi Churnam, Pinyaka Churnam, Nalpamaradi Churnam, Nimbadi Churnam. There, I cannot enumerate, there are so many number of medicines that cannot be enumerated. That is according to the yukti of the Vaidya, which Churna has to be selected. This Ishtika Churnam, you can use Gome Churnam. What is wrong in it? Because Gomaya also is told as a Svedana Dravya, right? Is there any medicinal value for Gomaya Churna? We cannot say, because it is an inert object. What is the medicinal value of this sand for Valuka Svedam? No, nothing. Whenever we perform, usually whenever we ask the students why we are placing this Masha Pishti for the purpose of this Kadigraham, it is Ushna Virya, Vadahara, Brahmana, Bilya, all these qualities, a lot of qualities they will explain. We cannot even enumerate the qualities of this Masha. If it is so, then what is the need of keeping oil in between? You just paste some Masha and go. Okay, is it not? So there nothing like that. It is not due to the quality of this Masha to keep there. It is a good adhering material if it can be sticked properly. Nowadays rings are being used. If we ask to next generation, they will say steel. Steel is having such a, if it is keeping cool, having this Ushna Guna Shamana will be there, they will explain the qualities of steel. As now they discuss regarding the qualities of this Masha. If Masha is having that much effect, you mix it with some oil and you just stick it, you just go. Then what is the importance of doing this Kadivasti or Grivavasti or whatever it is? Okay. So it doesn't matter the quality of this Masha and all these things, and it is not supposed to act on that particular area. The only thing is that we need a good sticking material. Masha is ideal for that. Instead of Masha, what we use, Goduma also nowadays we are using, right? Yes. And you see the price of this Masha and compare it with Goduma. Masha is very expensive right now. Goduma is very cheap. That quality we can see. It is pocket friendly. But Masha is not. Okay. That is the thing we can. And so according to the yukti of this Vaidya, you can select any medicines for the purpose of Subudhevam Sahasrani Kodirvabi Prakalpayet Bahu Dravya Vigalpatvad Yoga Sankhya Vidyade. We cannot enumerate the yogas. Okay, that's why. So this is the aspect of Lebam. And you are well known with this application of this lepas, and all different types of lepas are there. Cold in potency, hot in potency, depending upon the thickness. The concept of lepa is very wide, and where we need to apply, where we need to apply for it, how long. These all are the things which we matters. And in the here in this aspect we can use different lepas like Nagaradi leba, Jadamayadi leba, Kachuradi leba, Baguji leba, Kotanjukadi leba. These are some of the commonest things what we use in our hospital. Okay. But according to the conditions, we may prepare some of the other lepas that may not be in a regular practice. If a patient is coming with some of the typical condition, we may prepare some other yogas like Manjishta along with the Shariba with some other drugs, Kaishora Gugulu. We may prepare a leba and we have applied. But that will be occasional. That may not be in our regular practice. It is clearly formulated for that particular vyadhi and that particular person. So that cannot be, that we are not added. We have not added in this list. These are some of the things which we use in our regular practice. So that's why the yogas can be formulated by you according to the condition, according to the yukti, and according to the reaction. That is the main thing. Because in almost all the cases, if you just imagine that the lepas are good. And the another concept, in Upanaham also it is told. Many ganas are told, right? In Vada condition, it has to be Vada, Pitta, Kapha. In all these conditions, you have to keep the bandaging. How long it is supposed to keep? Blindly, we cannot say it is 12 hours. Buddho Ratram Diva Munjed Ratrau Divagratam. Yes, of course, it is 12 hours. But what is the concept of this Upanaha in Pitta? Pittena Padmagadi is true. Salvanaki? What is that puna? First you apply, then after that some time you just remove it. Again you rebandage it. Otherwise it may create complication as it is for the purpose. What is the purpose of this Upanaham? It is a production of heat. It is, the heat is being generated, right? Or it is preventing the heat loss. Is it not? Sometimes it can be creation of heat. Sometimes it can be prevention of heat loss. That is Sagni, Niragni. In Sagni, we are doing protection of the heat loss. In Niragni, we are creating heat generation. We are heat is generated. In both these conditions, if you applied it for Vaitiga condition, in a chronic case of gouty arthritis, if you apply such an Upanaham for continuously 12 hours, then it may create to, or it may lead to chronic inflammation. The condition may get worsened. There what you have to do is you have to remove the bandage after a specific time, rebandage it. That is purely Vyadhi Pratinigam. There you are not supposed to create the heat because it is already Raktam and Pittam is involved. Both are Ushna. Again we are giving Ushna. Everything will be collapsed. In chronic cases of Vadaraktam, if you are applying this Upanaha for continuously for 12 hours, that may be worsening the condition. It may not create the good effect. It will lead to complication. Do you accept? Have you ever had such an experience? If not, it is good. Because sometimes we will think like that if it is kept for some long time, the effect will be more. But in cases of Pittam, it is very difficult. It will be very difficult. And in some cases, we had burning sensation, and after that, whenever the patient complains of this burning sensation, we used to remove some of the students, some of the delegates who were the students of this college, they may know better, which we had that experience. In some cases, we have extended the duration of this Upanaha. So, they were then to manage all these complications. Okay. So, even though what all are the things we think so simple, it can have some complications if we are not properly using the concepts. The procedure may be simple. You see how simple is a Bashpasvedam. I will tell you one experience. And one day I have suggested one patient to have this Bashpasvedam, and it was a full day, it was fully rush. During that time, almost all the internees and PG students were busy with some other works. And I suggested my patient for this Bashpasvedam, and after Abhyangam, he went for this Bashpasvedam, and that particular internee kept him inside and started the procedure. And after some time, he got collapsed because this patient was kept inside the Bashpasvedam chamber and the room was closed from outside, and the internee went for some other work. He sat inside that Bashpasvedam chamber for a prolonged time. And after some time, he was unable to speak even. His voices not were coming. And after some time, that internee got struck that, oh, I kept that patient inside. He ran to this session and he opened the door and he was almost in a semi-conscious stage. And this would have been very fatal. And immediately we had to manage with some drips and all these things that we could do because of this. Some of the experts were there. And immediately we could manage. Otherwise, that severe electrolyte imbalance was there. The patient was unable to raise his voice. What all are the things which is explained in the context of Hadistunna Lakshanas we could observe then? So that is naturally happened. Always these complications are happened, they never created. Is it possible for me to tell you that come tomorrow we will have the demonstration of Jivadanam? No, never. Okay, let's go, we will have the this Parivartika Vyadhi, we will have the demonstration. Is it possible? No. So in such cases, the proper utilization of this Panchakarma procedures, if it is properly done, everything is fine. If it is improperly done, everything is collapsed. So these all are some of the technical problems what we face in our day-to-day practice, what in our hospital what we face. So these all are some of the procedures that what we used to do in our hospitals. These all are some of the yogas as our time is getting finished. So with this, I will come to the end of this presentation. This Ruksha Churna Pinda Sweda, this is different, this Roga Anusara, what all are the things which we can use. This is Drava Sweda. These all are some of the procedures what we this Dhumapanam, this is usually being done after the as a Panchakarma of So with this, I conclude my topic on the concept of this Rukshanam and how far it is very important in the context of Panchakarma. If you have any queries, anything to be discussed, that we will do.
सर एक पुष्टि के साथ है इस मेंशन पक्षात चर्दनम दर्जा इज इट प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल
Yeah, why not? Pakshat, if it is told as it is a gap of 15 days, right? So even if it is not possible in the cases of 15 days of this, in once in 2 months or 3 months, we can do repeated Vamana. No problem. The only thing is that we have to consider the health of the patient, whether it is possible to withstand for the patient, because in 15 days of gap the Vamana is not possible. You just imagine, you just think that Pakshat means repeated Shodhanam only, you just repeated Vamana Karma only, you just imagine. That also minimum of 2 months we may require, because after this Samyak Lakshana or this proper Shuddhi of this Vamanam, we will have another this Samsarjana Krama and all these things, and he has to get the normal health. Then only we can re-administer the procedure. So minimum gap we need. That is the only thing. Repeated Shodhana is possible, but we are doing also. But the gap is not 15 days. That's the only thing.
Sir, kindly elaborate the concept of utilization of Udvardhana in the management of Krusha Pramehi and
Stula Pramehi.
Because in both conditions, clear is there. So we have to eliminate clear because basic sampra have.
Yes, of course. Yes, of
We can differentiate between these two.
See, this the question is very good. That is how this concept of this Uddhardhanam is applicable for Stula Pramehi and Krishna Pramehi, right? So what is the treatment method what we adopt in this Krishna Pramehi? It is Mridushodhanam. For this Mridushodhanam, even if it is Mridushodhanam also, we have to go for this Pura Karma for the proper administration, and then we can have this Shamana Chikilsas. And if it is possible, then he can be given with the Brahmana also. Okay, but that is not possible in the cases of Stula Pramehi. Stula Pramehi again, that is, he has to be given with the Udvardhanam, then he has to be given with the Shodhanam. Okay, so after the proper Shodhanam, the Mridu Shodhanam carried out in the context of this Krishna Pramehi, then again he has to be given the medicines which can be ideal for his health, that is Brahmana in nature, which is in the context of where it is told Kabha Avriddhigaram, like Aushadhas we have to give in the cases of Krishna Pramehi. In Stula Pramehi, soon after the administration of this Udvardhana and all these things, which are the possible treatments, that is Vamanam or whatever it is, if the patient is possible, then you have to go for Snehapanam. For the purpose of Snehapanam also some special medicated Aushadhas are also mentioned, Pipali, Gomutra, Shadra, all these the Grida processed with these dravyas has to be given for the purpose of Snehapanam. In such cases, the Tishna Shodhana can be adopted in the cases of Staulya as a Pramehi and this Krishna Pramehi. After Mridu Shodhanam, he has to be given with this Velakara or Vrittigara Aushadhas. Mridu Shodhana has to be adopted. There, Tishna Shodhana can be adopted. That's why in Chaka also it is told in the context of this Asadhya, when it turns to Vada Prameha, it is considered as Asadhya Mehas, right? And where this two varieties, how it can be diagnosed? If it is associated with Vada, or if it is presented with the Pravruddha Vada Lakshanas, Kshineshu Dosheshu Apakrishyatova va. It is, that means Vada Pramehan Pratipurva Muktan Vadolbananam Vihida Kriyatvat Vayurhi Meheshwati Karshidanam Kupyatyasadhyam Prati Nasti Chinda is told as the asadhyatva of this Prameham. So, Drishtva Prameham Madhuram cha Pittam. We have to have two dimensions. Drishtva Prameham Madhuram sa Pittam. Sandarpanadva Kapa Sambhavasyat. Whether this Prameha is due to Sandarpana or Kshineshu Dosheshu Anilatmagova. Whether it is due to Avadarpanajanya or if it is due to, in that cases, this is the line of treatment we have to adopt. Mrudu Shodhana is mandatory, whatever it is. Mrudu Shodhana, but in Staulya Pramehi, we can have a little bit more stronger. It is a clear, it is mentioned in, I think it is from Charaka only. This Drishtva Prameham Madhuram Chapittam Madhupamam Syad Vivido Vijara. It is Charaka only, right? Drishtva Prameham Madhuram Sapittam Madhupamam Syad Vivido Vijara Sandarpanadva Kava Sambhavasyat Kshineshu Dosheshu Anilotmagova. So if it is Vada, usually it is considered as Asadhya. That's why Charagacharya concludes as Asadhyan Prati Nasti Chinda. Asadhya conditions, we cannot manage. Then also, even if the condition, if we give any treatment, we can continue with his, if he can have a little bit of change in his quality of life, that we can provide. That is the only thing. Anyway, it is never considered as a Sadhi Vyadi. Still now, is there a complete cure for diabetes? Once you started medicine for diabetes, means it is lifelong. Is it not? Either it can be medicine, it can be insulin, whatever it is. But lifelong it has to be taken. We cannot have a normal, means completely stopping of the medicine. That situation is not, right now it is not possible. So we have to continue with the medicines because there will be continuous changing of this sugar levels. In some cases, there can be some complications because neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy, burning neuropathy, retinopathy, all these things. Depending upon the lakshanas, we have to go with the treatment. We can go with the treatment, but we cannot stop the treatment. That's why it is an asadhya vyadhi, because we don't have any recovery from, a complete recovery is not possible in cases of this condition. And what we are seeing in the present lifestyle also, it is so, right? Oh,
how can we perform?
Marmastha Vyadhi, the Roshana in Marmastha Vyadhi. See, you can have in a case where you have any problems with this marmastalas, especially Janu Santhi or whatever, it can be some marmastas, or even you just consider it as Hridayam. Okay, you can have different modalities. You can have the application of lepas, you can have dharas, you can have dhanyamla dhara, you can have kashaya dhara. What all are the things which can be adopted for tenderness? That can be given. Because direct kiri and all these things, this pinda swedas may not be possible, uddhartana may not be possible. In such a condition where you have severe tenderness, then how will you go ahead with the procedure like uddhartanam, pinda swedam and all these things? It is different. It is difficult. So you have another techniques like parishegas, lepas. That also, all these things are possible. That's why. Anyhow, that rukshana is mandatory there. That's why Marmastha Vyadhi. You should not get confused in Marma. How can I go for Rukshana, all this?
Abhyantar
Rukshana, Duksha Pana Anna Bheshaja. The Kashaya Rasa Pradhana Dravyas you can use. It is Kava Haram. It can create rukshana. Like aushadha anna viharanam upyogam sukhavaham. Then any of this you can use. Ahara, aushadha, whatever it can be. Kashaya rasa pradhana dravyas, even including in food. That also is a good suggestion.